Okay, let's take a look at all the materials. You got quite a bit of things to get cutting, and make sure that you follow the instructions real clear. And then we'll go over individually what to do with them as each step comes along. Again, there are lots of supplies too, so gather them all up and be sure to treat yourself to the 50 weight Aurifil cotton thread. Go ahead and gather your supplies and let's go to the next step. I didn't show it, but be sure to press all your cotton materials with Mary Ellen's Best Press. Press the fusible woven interfacing to the wrong side of the back lining. This is going to give the back of our project and the inside back lining a little bit of extra stability. Fuse the paper-backed fusible web pieces to the foam pieces. Make sure the scratchy side is facing the foam. And follow the manufacturer's suggested press time. Let it cool, remove the paper, and there you go. I really like using foam in the hoop projects. I feel like it just gives a little bit of extra body without a ton of bulk. Okay, so now you're going to press the front and back pieces to the foam. Align them up. You're going to make sure that it's the right side facing up, the pretty side showing, and that foam is going to be adhered to the wrong side. Hoop your tearaway stabilizer centered within the hoop. Thread the teal on the top and a white bobbin in the bobbin, and place the front centered and tape on the top and bottom. Insert your hoop into the machine and sew stitch number 1 and then stitch number 2. Excellent job. This is now the quilting of the front of your scissor case. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the different color breakdowns and what they are and where they are in your design. And I'm going to have you stitch from number 3 to number 13. Have some fun and enjoy those Aurifil 50 weight cotton threads. Didn't she come out sweet? I love my little sewing gnome. Her name is Fiona. Of course, my daughter Heidi named her, and I love it. What you're going to do is turn your hoop to the wrong side and place that front lining directly over the stitching, and you're going to use a nice long piece of tape to secure that lining to the stabilizer. You'll notice that I wrap it around the sides of the hoop, and actually the tape is going on the hoop. I find that this really helps when you're doing in the hoop projects, so give it a try. You're going to go ahead and wind a matching bobbin of the teal Aurifil 50 weight cotton thread, insert it into the machine, and sew the next stitch. Wonderful. This stitch was actually a secure stitch and it's beautiful, looks great. And now you're going to go ahead and use your favorite applique pair of cutting scissors. And what we're going to do is just cut along the top portion of our scissor case on the front and the back. Cut as close to the stitching as you possibly can without cutting the stitching, of course, and do this on the front and the back side. Insert your hoop into the machine and sew stitch number 15, which is the top satin stitch. Looking good! And the stitching is on the front and the back, of course. And now you're going to put the hoop back in the machine and you're going to sew stitch number 16, which is the elastic placement. And there you go. It sort of reminds me of an upside down capital letter T. And let's go ahead and turn our hoop wrong side facing up. Place the back lining right sides facing down. And we're going to secure the top and bottom with some tape, just like we did for the front lining. Make sure that the tape wraps around the edge and the sides of the hoop. It's elastic time. Fold that elastic in half and take the two raw edges and place them just above the line of the mark, which kind of looks like a letter T, and secure it in place with the tape. Like I said, about a ½ inch below. Take that back and we're going to place it right sides together with the front and secure it with tape if you need. Insert your hoop into the machine and sew the final stitch sequence. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and remove the fabric and stabilizer from the hoop, and now we're going to remove the stabilizer from the project. Just go real slow. You don't want to accidentally distort any stitches. Now we're going to cut around, and I like to use the Olfa precision applique scissors. They're sharp, short, and they do a really great job. So you're going to leave about a ¼ inch seam allowance all the way around the entire outside and miter your corners. I want to point out you want to leave that elastic on the inside of your seam allowance. It'll make the elastic a lot stronger. You can use this tip for a lot of other projects too. So remove all the materials around a ¼ inch, and we're going to leave at least a ½ inch around that opening. We're going to need to turn this guy right side out, and we're going to need to tuck the extra seam allowance inside, and it's nice to have a little bit extra for us to hand stitch on top of. Okay, time to turn the scissor case right sides out, and you just want to make sure that you know where you're going and what you're turning right sides out. You want to make sure you're turning it right sides out from the main front and back, not the lining portion. Take your time, you don't want to rip any stitches, but if you do, you can always kind of hand stitch over those later. Remove any stabilizers and remove any pieces of tape that are left over as well. When you're all finished and you're happy with how it looks, go ahead and give it a good press, and because you're using cotton thread, you can press directly over that embroidery. It's not going to do anything bad. In an effort to help reduce a little bit of bulk, we're going to remove the extra piece of foam that's in the front in the seam allowance. So just grab your scissors and cut really close so that we can remove that bulk. Again, this is a perfect application of the Aurifil precision applique scissors. They're short, sharp, and again, they get right to the point. You're going to treat the front lining, and the back lining as one, just like this right here, and you're going to turn that all together inside toward the back, and then the back inside toward the front. You're going to use Wonder Clips to hold all this together, and then we are going to hand stitch this little guy up. And for the final hurrah, since you already have your needle threaded, we're going to go ahead and mark our button place and hand stitch that button onto our Sewing Gnome Scissor Case. Flip the elastic around to the front, mark it with a marking pen, grab your needle and hand stitch it. And I like to do it on a diagonal. I don't know, I think it kind of goes with the little quilting appearance, but it's completely and entirely up to you. You can use all kinds of fun buttons too. I mean, it would be fun if you use like a little mushroom button or a heart. I just used a really simple aqua button. That way it kind of contrasted but also complemented our little Sewing Gnome Scissor Case. Once you're finished, tie a little knot at the end and clip your thread and start using the Sewing Gnome Scissor Case. I've got several pairs of scissors here just to show you how you can use all kinds of different sizes with this Sewing Gnome Scissor Case. Check it out. This is a large pair of fabric shears. Great, fits really nice. And then there's kind of a medium-sized pair of shears / scissors. And again, fits really great. Voila. And then last but not least, my new favorite scissors, the Aurifil Precision Applique Scissors. And check it out, it works perfect. So there you go.